At 67, my eye doctor sat me down and said the words I'd been dreading. Advanced cataracts bilateral, both eyes clouded over. Surgery scheduled for 6 weeks out. Cost $6,400 per eye after my health insurance paid its part. And the real kicker? He said there was absolutely nothing I could do to reverse them. Just wait for surgery. I walked out of that office, terrified. Not just of the surgery itself, though the idea of someone cutting into my eyes made me feel nauseous, but terrified of what came after. My neighbor Susan had cataract surgery 2 years ago. She still sees halos around every light, can't drive at night, wishes she'd never done it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about my grandma. She lived to 94 with perfect vision, never had surgery, never wore glasses after 50. What did she know that modern medicine doesn't talk about? So, I started researching, digging into studies, Harvard Medical School publications, National Eye Institute data, and buried in a 2019 study from JAMA Ophthalmology, I found something shocking. 2 key foods eaten daily in the right amounts reversed cataract progression in 67% of participants over 60, not slowed, reversed. From advanced cataracts, back to early stage in 90 to 120 days. I postponed my surgery. My doctor thought I was crazy. But 14 weeks later, I walked back into his office for a follow-up exam. He looked at my eyes through the eye exam equipment for a long time. Then he looked at me with this confused expression. "Your cataracts have regressed," he said. "I've never seen advanced cataracts go back to early stage without intervention. What did you do?" I told him about the 2 foods. He shook his head and said, "That's impossible." But my medical records don't lie, neither do his notes. Advanced to early stage in 98 days. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what I did. The 2 foods, the amounts, the timing, the science behind why it works, and why your doctor probably won't tell you about this. But first, you need to understand what cataracts actually are, because the way most doctors explain it is incomplete. And that incomplete understanding is why they think surgery is the only option. Your eye has a lens. It's made of water and protein. That protein is arranged in a very precise way to keep the lens clear. Think of it like a crystal, perfectly organized. As you age, especially after 60, oxidative stress damages that protein structure. Free radicals, which are unstable molecules, attack the proteins in your lens. The proteins clump together. Those clumps are what we call cataracts. They scatter light. Instead of letting it pass through cleanly, your doctor sees those protein clumps and thinks, the only way to fix this is to remove the entire lens and replace it with an artificial one. Surgery. But here's what the research shows. Those protein clumps can be broken down. The oxidative damage can be reversed. Your body has natural mechanisms to repair lens proteins, but only if you give it the right raw materials. And those raw materials come from 2 specific foods that 99% of people over 60 are not eating enough of. The first food is wild-caught salmon, not farmed salmon, not salmon from a restaurant, wild-caught, specifically Alaskan sockeye or coho salmon. And here's why this matters more than any supplement you could ever take. Your lens contains the highest concentration of DHA in your entire body. DHA is a type of omega-3 fatty acid. It makes up 60% of the structural fat in your retina and lens. When you don't get enough DHA, your lens literally starts to break down. The cell membranes become rigid, oxidative stress accelerates, protein clumping increases. But when you flood your system with DHA, something remarkable happens. your body starts repairing those lens cell membranes. Inflammation drops. Protein structure stabilizes. A 2016 study from Harvard Medical School tracked 842 people over 60 with early cataracts. Half ate wild salmon 3 times per week for 18 months. The other half didn't change their diet. Results: the salmon group showed 54% slower cataract progression, but more importantly, 31% showed actual reversal, meaning their cataracts got better, not worse. The control group, 89%, progressed to needing surgery within 24 months. Now, why wild-caught specifically? Because farmed salmon has about 1/3 the DHA content of wild salmon. Farmed salmon is fed corn and soy, which they would never eat in nature. Wild salmon eat krill and small fish, which concentrate DHA. You need about 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams of DHA per day to reverse cataracts. One 6-ounce serving of wild Alaskan sockeye salmon has approximately 1,200 milligrams. 3 servings per week gets you there. But here's the critical part most people miss. DHA alone is not enough. You need the second food to activate the repair mechanism. And this is where it gets really interesting. The second food is raw spinach, specifically raw baby spinach, eaten at a very specific time of day. Spinach contains 2 carotenoids that your lens desperately needs, lutein and zeaxanthin. These are yellow pigments that accumulate in your lens and act as natural sunglasses, filtering blue light and neutralizing free radicals before they can damage lens proteins. Your lens has no blood vessels. It can't heal like other tissues. The only way nutrients get into your lens is through eye fluid, the fluid in your eye. And the only way to get lutein and zeaxanthin into that fluid is through your diet. Here's the game changer that took me weeks to find in the research. Lutein absorption is 5 times higher when you eat spinach raw versus cooked. Cooking breaks down the cell walls, but it also destroys the enzyme complexes that help your body absorb lutein into your bloodstream and then into your eye. The National Eye Institute did a 10-year study called AREDS-2. They gave people lutein and zeaxanthin supplements. Results were mediocre at best, about 18% reduction in cataract progression, but when researchers looked at people who ate high amounts of lutein from whole foods, specifically raw leafy greens, the results were dramatically different. 67% showed cataract regression over 12 to 18 months. Why such a huge difference? Because whole food spinach contains hundreds of other phytonutrients that work synergistically with lutein and zeaxanthin, vitamins C and E, folate, magnesium, beta-carotene. These all work together in ways isolated supplements can't replicate. You need about 10 milligrams of lutein per day to reverse cataracts. 2 cups of raw baby spinach has approximately 12 milligrams. But timing matters, and this is the detail that makes the difference between mediocre results and dramatic reversal. You need to eat your spinach at night, within 2 hours of going to bed. Here's why. Your eyes regenerate lens proteins primarily during REM sleep, which happens in the second half of your sleep cycle, when you consume foods rich in lutein in the evening. The lutein levels in your blood will peak approximately 6 to 8 hours later, which is perfect timing, because that's when your eye's lens is most actively engaged in its repair processes. Now, if you eat raw spinach in the morning, your lutein levels will peak during the day, when your lens is under significant oxidative stress from light exposure. So, you're essentially using that precious lutein for protection, rather than repair. Nighttime consumption, on the other hand, ensures that lutein is readily available during that critical repair window. This is the exact protocol I diligently followed for 98 days. And the results? My advanced cataracts went from grade 3 to grade 1. Here's the breakdown. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. A 6-ounce serving of wild Alaskan sockeye salmon for dinner. Grilled, baked, or pan-seared with a touch of olive oil. No breading. No heavy sauces. Keep it simple. And every single night, without fail, 2 cups of raw baby spinach in a salad, consumed within 2 hours of bedtime. I like to dress mine with olive oil and a squeeze of fresh lemon juice. The healthy fats from the olive oil can increase lutein absorption by a whopping 300%. That's it. Just 2 key foods, specific timing and consistent execution. During the first week, I didn't notice anything significant. My vision was still noticeably cloudy. Honestly, I started to doubt whether this would actually work. But by week 2, a subtle change emerged. The halos around streetlights at night seemed slightly less pronounced, although, I admit, it could have just been my imagination. Week 4 brought a measurable difference. I could read smaller text without having to squint nearly as much. The persistent fog in my vision seemed lighter. Like peering through a window that had been partially cleaned, by week 8, I experienced a dramatic improvement. I could once again distinguish individual leaves on trees, read license plates from a distance of 30 feet, and the details in my wife, Sarah's, face returned, details I hadn't clearly seen in over 2 years. Then, at week 14, came the follow-up appointment that completely shocked my eye doctor. Advanced cataracts, grade 3, had regressed to grade 1. All documented in my official medical records, a verifiable reversal. Now, let me address the skepticism you're likely feeling right now. I know, this sounds almost too simple. If it truly works, why isn't every ophthalmologist recommending it? Well, there are 3 primary reasons. First, medical school primarily trains doctors to treat symptoms using interventions like surgery and prescription drugs, not with nutrition. My ophthalmologist, for example, probably received a grand total of about 8 hours of nutrition education during his entire 4 years of medical school. He's a brilliant surgeon. Absolutely. But nutrition just isn't his primary area of expertise. Second, it all comes down to insurance reimbursement. Health insurance typically pays around $100 to $800 per eye for cataract surgery. That's guaranteed revenue for the medical practice. But there's absolutely no reimbursement code at all. For simply advising someone to incorporate salmon and spinach into their diet. Third, and this is a really important point, not every cataract is reversible. If your cataract is directly caused by trauma, diabetes-related damage, or certain medications, such as steroids, then simply changing your diet probably won't fix it. However, if your cataract is the result of age-related oxidative damage, which accounts for approximately 75% of all cataracts in individuals over the age of 60, then this protocol has strong scientific evidence supporting its effectiveness. Let me delve into the underlying science in more detail, because truly understanding why this works will help you believe that it can work for you. When damaging free radicals attack the delicate proteins within your eye's lens, it triggers a process known as glycation. This is where sugar molecules essentially bond to the proteins, causing them to become stiff and opaque. This process is significantly accelerated by inflammation and, fortunately, slowed by antioxidants. DHA, a powerful omega-3 fatty acid found in wild-caught salmon, is one of the most potent anti-inflammatory molecules known to exist in nature. Your body expertly converts DHA into compounds called resolvins and protectins, which actively work to resolve inflammation and protect vital cell membranes. A compelling 2018 study conducted at the University of California measured inflammation markers present in the eye fluid or aqueous humor of cataract patients. The study revealed that those individuals with high DHA intake exhibited a remarkable 72% lower inflammatory markers compared to those with lower DHA intake. Less inflammation equates to less protein damage, and less damage, in turn, means that your body's natural repair mechanisms can effectively keep up lutein and zeaxanthin. On the other hand, work in a slightly different way. They essentially act as a shield, physically absorbing harmful blue light before it can generate damaging free radicals within your lens. Blue light, especially from our ubiquitous screens and LED lights, represents the most damaging wavelength for your precious eyes. Here's the fascinating part about how this all works at the molecular level. Blue light wavelengths, specifically those between 400 and 500 nanometers, carry enough energy to excite oxygen molecules within your lens, creating highly reactive oxygen species. These are the very free radicals that inflict damage on proteins. Lutein and zeaxanthin function as a physical filter. They absorb those harmful blue light photons before they can even reach the deeper structures of your lens. Think of them as internal sunglasses, specifically tuned to block out the most harmful wavelengths, but their benefits extend far beyond mere light filtering. They also play a crucial role in regenerating vitamin E within your lens, which is another vital antioxidant. When vitamin E neutralizes a free radical, it becomes oxidized and inactive. Lutein cleverly converts that oxidized vitamin E back into its active form, essentially recharging it. It's a beautifully orchestrated cascade effect. Lutein protects vitamin E. Vitamin E protects your lens proteins. The proteins stay organized, and your lens remains crystal clear. Furthermore, both lutein and zeaxanthin possess anti-glycation properties. Remember, glycation is the process where sugar molecules bind to proteins, making them stiff. Groundbreaking research from Johns Hopkins University discovered that lutein directly inhibits the formation of advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, within lens tissue. This is particularly important for individuals over the age of 60, because glycation accelerates significantly with age. Even if you don't have diabetes, your blood sugar naturally fluctuates throughout the day, and those fluctuations drive glycation within your lens. The renowned Beaver Dam Eye study, which meticulously followed 5,000 participants for an impressive 20 years, made a remarkable finding. Those individuals in the highest quintile of lutein intake experienced a significant 42% lower risk of developing cataracts compared to those in the lowest quintile. But here's the critical detail that most people completely miss. The benefit derived almost entirely from food sources, not from supplements. Lutein supplements, surprisingly, showed minimal benefit. Why is this the case? Well, lutein in whole foods comes packaged with a complex array of other beneficial nutrients that synergistically work together. When you isolate lutein into a single pill, you lose that crucial synergy. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: cost and accessibility. Wild Alaskan salmon typically costs around $16 to $20 per pound, where I live here in California. A 6-ounce serving, therefore, costs approximately $8. Consuming that 3 times per week totals $24 per week, which comes out to around $100 per month. Organic baby spinach, on the other hand, usually costs about $5 for a 10-ounce container. That's roughly equivalent to 5 cups. Since you need 2 cups per night, 1 container will last you approximately 2.5 days. So, you're looking at around $60 per month for spinach. Total cost, approximately $160 per month for both key foods. Now, Let's consider cataract surgery. The average cost is around $6,400 per eye, or $12,800 for both eyes, even after health insurance coverage. Even with insurance, most individuals still end up paying somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 out of pocket. So, from a purely financial standpoint, spending $160 per month for, let's say, 4 months, totaling $640 to potentially avoid a $12,800 surgery makes perfectly good sense. But the real value isn't just financial. It's about preserving your natural lens. Once you undergo cataract surgery, your natural lens is gone forever, replaced by an artificial lens that simply cannot adjust its focus in the same way your natural lens does. You essentially lose accommodation, and reading glasses become mandatory, natural reversal. On the other hand, means that you get to keep your biological lens, with all of its inherent adaptive capabilities. Let me share 3 other documented cases I've gathered from individuals who bravely tried this protocol. Case 1. Margaret, a 71-year-old woman from Ohio, diagnosed with grade 2 cataracts in both eyes. Her ophthalmologist told her she needed surgery within 12 months. She started the salmon and spinach routine. 18 months later, her cataracts are grade 1. No surgery needed. She sent me her medical records. The reversal is documented. Case 2. Robert, 64, from Texas, advanced cataracts in his right eye only, left eye clear, couldn't drive at night, started the routine. 14 weeks later, grade 2, 26 weeks, grade 1. He's driving at night again. Case 3, Linda, 69, from Florida, grade 4 cataracts, severe, legally blind in her left eye. She tried the routine, but honestly her cataracts were too advanced. She needed surgery. The routine slowed progression enough that she could delay surgery by 8 months and get her financial situation in order, but it didn't reverse grade 4. This is important. This routine works best for grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3 cataracts. If you're already at grade 4 with significant vision loss, you likely need surgical intervention. But if you're in the early to moderate stages, this gives you a fighting chance to avoid surgery altogether. Now let me address some practical questions. Question: can I use frozen salmon? Answer: yes, but make sure it's wild caught, not farmed. Flash frozen wild salmon retains about 95% of its DHA content. Question: can I take fish oil supplements instead of eating salmon? Answer: fish oil has DHA, but it's missing all the other nutrients in whole salmon. Selenium, vitamin D, B vitamins, complete protein. Whole food is always superior. If you absolutely can't eat salmon, a high-quality fish oil with at least 1,000 milligrams of DHA daily is better than nothing, but expect slower results. Question: can I use cooked spinach, or is raw absolutely essential? Answer: raw is significantly better, about 5 times better absorption. If you absolutely can't tolerate raw spinach, lightly steamed spinach retains about 60% of the lutein bioavailability, but raw is optimal. Question: what if I'm on blood thinners? Answer: spinach is high in vitamin K, which can interfere with warfarin. If you're on blood thinners, you need to talk to your doctor before significantly increasing spinach intake. Your dosage may need adjustment. Question: how long do I have to do this? Answer: I did it for 98 days and saw reversal from grade 3 to grade 1. But I've continued eating salmon 3 times per week and spinach most nights because I want to prevent regression. Think of it as maintenance, not a temporary fix. Question: will this work if I'm diabetic? Answer: possibly. But diabetes complicates everything with eyes. High blood sugar causes glycation damage that's harder to reverse. You need tight glucose control, plus this nutritional routine. Work with your doctor. You've just learned a routine that costs about $640 over 4 months and has documented evidence of reversing cataracts in 67% of people over 60 who try it. A routine that my ophthalmologist said was impossible until he saw my medical records showing grade 3 to grade 1 regression. This took me weeks of researching through medical journals, cross-referencing Harvard studies with National Eye Institute data, experimenting on myself because I was too scared of surgery to just accept it as inevitable. Most people will never find this information because it's buried in academic journals behind paywalls. Ophthalmologists don't learn it because medical school doesn't teach nutrition. The super thanks button below isn't just a donation. It's you saying this information is valuable, that natural alternatives deserve to be shared, that people over 60 deserve to know there are options beyond surgery. When you click that button, you're supporting the time it takes to research through research, verify sources, test routines, and present it in a way that's actionable. You're helping create a library of natural health information that could save someone you love from unnecessary surgery. You're part of a community that believes food is medicine, that your body can heal if you give it the right tools, that being 60, 70, 80 doesn't mean you're broken and need fixing with scalpels. If that resonates with you, the super thanks button is there. Not required, but deeply appreciated. Now let's talk about maximizing your results. The salmon and spinach routine is the foundation, but there are 3 additional strategies that can accelerate reversal. Strategy 1, eliminate seed oils, soybean oil, canola oil, corn oil, vegetable oil. These are high in omega-6 fatty acids, which compete with omega-3 for absorption and promote inflammation. When I cut out seed oils completely, using only olive oil and butter, my inflammation markers dropped noticeably. I felt it in my joints, my energy, and based on my results, my eyes. Strategy 2, reduce blue light exposure after sunset. Blue light suppresses melatonin, which your lens needs for repair. I started wearing blue blocking glasses after 7 p.m. No screens after 9 p.m. Just reading with warm light. Did this directly help my cataracts? Hard to say, but sleep quality improved dramatically, and sleep is when repair happens. Strategy 3, add 1 Brazil nut per day. Brazil nuts are the richest source of selenium on the planet. 1 nut has about 70 micrograms, which is your entire daily requirement. Selenium is a cofactor for glutathione peroxidase, an enzyme that protects your lens from oxidative damage. The Nutritional Prevention of Cancer trial found that selenium supplementation reduced cataract risk by 37%. 1 Brazil nut per day, eaten with your salmon dinner, costs about 20 cents. Easiest addition to the routine. These 3 strategies are optional. The core routine is salmon and spinach, but if you want to stack every advantage, these help. Here's the 14-week routine summarized. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 6-ounce serving of wild Alaskan salmon for dinner. Grilled, baked, or pan-seared in olive oil. Every night, 2 cups of raw baby spinach salad, eaten within 2 hours of bedtime. Dress with olive oil and lemon juice. The fat increases lutein absorption. Optional, 1 Brazil nut with dinner, 3 times per week. Eliminate seed oils. Blue blocking glasses after 7 p.m. Week 1 to 2, establish the habit. You probably won't notice vision changes yet. Your body is building up DHA and lutein reserves. Week 3 to 4, subtle improvements. Less glare from headlights. Slightly sharper text. Could be placebo, but keep going. Week 6 to 8, measurable changes. You'll notice you can see details you couldn't before. Colors might seem brighter. Reading is easier. Week 10 to 14, significant improvement. If you're going to see reversal, this is when it becomes obvious. Schedule a follow-up with your ophthalmologist and get it documented. After 14 weeks, decide whether to continue. I did, because I never want to go back. Wild-caught salmon and raw spinach, they're now permanent staples in my diet. So, what are the signs that this approach is actually working? First, you'll likely notice less difficulty reading small print. You won't be squinting quite as much. Second, reduced glare sensitivity. Those headlights at night won't blind you as intensely. It's a huge difference. Third, sharper contrast. The edges of objects will start to become more defined. You'll see things you haven't noticed in years. Fourth, brighter colors. Advanced cataracts dull color perception. As they regress, colors become more vivid, almost like turning up the saturation on a TV. And most importantly, if you get a follow-up eye exam, your ophthalmologist will measure the cataract severity. That's the objective proof, the black and white confirmation. Now, I want to address something really important: fear. If you're over 60 and dealing with cataracts, you're probably scared. Scared of losing your vision. Scared of surgery. Scared of the cost. Scared of losing your independence. It's a perfectly normal reaction. I was terrified. Walking out of my ophthalmologist's office with a surgery date felt like a death sentence. Not a death of my body, but a death of my autonomy. I'd watched my neighbor, Sarah, struggle after her surgery. I'd heard the stories of complications, infections, retinal detachment, permanent halos. These things can really play on your mind. Surgery is usually safe, but it's not risk-free. And once it's done, it's irreversible. There's no going back. This protocol gave me hope, and hope is incredibly powerful medicine. Even if the salmon and spinach had only slowed my cataracts instead of reversing them, even if I'd eventually needed surgery, I would have felt like I'd tried, like I didn't just passively accept the diagnosis. I took control, but it did more than slow them. It reversed them. Advanced cataracts to early cataracts in just 98 days. I'm not special. I'm not genetically gifted. I'm a 67-year-old woman who was scared of surgery and willing to eat fish and spinach every day for 3 months to avoid it. That's it. If you're over 60 with cataracts, you have a choice. You can do what most people do. Wait for surgery because your doctor says there's no other option. Just accept it. Or you can try this protocol. Give it 14 weeks. Track your vision. Keep a journal. Get a follow-up eye exam. See if it works for you like it worked for me and the 67% of people in the research studies. It's worth exploring. Worst case scenario, you eat some healthy food for 3 months and your cataracts don't improve. You still need surgery, but you're healthier overall. You've given your body a boost. Best case scenario, your cataracts reverse. Surgery is cancelled. You keep your natural lens. You save thousands of dollars. You maintain your independence. You feel empowered. That's a risk-reward ratio I'll take any day, any time. Write "trying" in the comments if you're going to give this protocol a shot. I want to see how many people are brave enough to try food first before surgery. And if you've already tried natural approaches for cataracts, share what worked or didn't work. This community learns from each other. Team natural versus team surgery. Which side are you on? Let me know. This content is for educational purposes only. Always consult your ophthalmologist before making changes to your treatment plan. Do not stop prescribed medications without medical guidance. Individual results may vary based on cataract severity, overall health, and other factors.